LSAT reading comp questions might seem overwhelming, but they actually fall into predictable patterns just as they do in LSAT logical reasoning. Today, I'll break it all down for you. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now I'm going to break down LSAT reading comp questions into 5 major categories. You have your general, global, big picture questions like main idea and primary purpose. You have your more inferential type questions that ask about what is explicitly stated in the passage versus what is suggested but not directly said, more in between the lines. We have questions focused on the author's purpose, which relate to role of statement, asking why they said something. What is the purpose of this statement in the context of the passage overall? We have questions that ask you to go beyond the passage, connecting something in the passage to something that is not directly covered, more inferential once again. And finally, we have types that are very parallel to similar ones in logical reasoning, like strengthen, weaken, and evaluate. I'm going to focus on these to start with because these might seem the trickiest at first, but they're a whole lot more manageable once you see the relationship to logical reasoning. These questions are asking you to relate the argument or hypothesis or claim in the passage to something else, some new information. Of course, a strengthen question is looking to make the explanation of the passage more likely, maybe by giving new evidence or ruling out some possible problem with the argument. And a weaken is doing the opposite. It's asking you to promote an alternative explanation or challenge the reasoning in the argument. Let's take this with an example. Let's suppose that a reading comp passage had a city planner who claimed that planting more trees in urban areas would significantly reduce air pollution. A strengthener might suggest that trees absorb pollutants like nitrogen and carbon monoxide, reducing their concentration in the air, which would add evidence supporting the claim. On the flip side, a weaken answer might suggest that air pollution levels in urban areas with more trees are comparable to those in areas with fewer trees, which then challenges the effectiveness of the proposed solution. Causal reasoning like this is very common in LSAT reading comp. We have a unique phenomenon of confusing situation, and someone proposes an explanation for that. A strengthened answer is boosting the likelihood of this explanation being a valid one, but weakened answers are suggesting or promoting other alternative potential causes and casting doubt on the provided explanation. You'll notice here that these strengtheners and weakeners are exactly like what you see in LSAT logical reasoning, meaning if you're good at logical reasoning, you're going to be good at this also if you can better see that relationship. Now that logic games is no longer on the LSAT, logical reasoning and reading comp, the only sections remaining, they're actually quite similar in this regard. Of course, you want to be careful to look out for traps in the answer choices. Wrong answers and strengthened and weakened questions are going to provide irrelevant information, discussing things unrelated to the argument altogether. Wrong answers will often be irrelevant, discussing things totally unrelated to the argument, or they may be the opposite of what they're asking you to do. So if a question's asking you to weaken that hypothesis about urban trees reducing air pollution, an irrelevant answer might discuss unrelated benefits of having trees in urban areas, like improving mental health. Now, when you're evaluating answer choices, you want to think about alternative explanations and the role that they can play. Again, a strengthener is going to downplay the likelihood of alternate explanations being valid, and a weakener is going to promote the validity of alternate explanations. Now, let's take another scenario. Imagine a passage about how nocturnal animals navigate in the dark. We have a researcher hypothesizing that bats use moonlight to enhance their echolocation abilities. If a question asks you to strengthen this hypothesis, the correct answer might say, bats have been observed echolocating more efficiently on nights with a full moon than on moonless nights. This would, of course, support the hypothesis by connecting moonlight to an ability to better navigate. On the flip side, a weakener might propose an alternate explanation, such as bats navigate equally well in completely dark caves where no moonlight is present. This, of course, would challenge the idea that moonlight plays a significant role in their navigation. So whenever you're looking at answer choices, you want to consider, does the answer directly address the claim or hypothesis? Does it have a clear impact to either strengthen or weaken the argument? And of course, You want to avoid answers that contain irrelevant information or are asking you for the opposite of what the question stem was asking you to do. Now, again, all these question types on LSAT Reading Comp, in particular, Strengthen and Weaken here, are coming down to your pattern recognition abilities. Strengthening questions are going to boost the plausibility of an explanation, and weakeners are going to introduce doubt or promote alternative causes. Now, if you're struggling with LSAT Reading Comp questions like these, or logical reasoning, or anything else LSAT related, of course, my team and I would be glad to help you out. If you're interested in finding out more about how we can support you on your journey to scoring a 170 or above, you can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.